everybody, welcome to Jake's fifth match in the IPL League. Last time, Jake was defeated by a Mega Pincer and claimed his second loss, and this time, Jake is going to be fighting his fifth opponent, Mikal. Now, before we get into this match, I should mention that unlike the other 4 times, I actually watched the match instead of watching it blind, and the reason for this is because I want to discuss what happened in this fight and what I thought of certain plays. It's not only the things I really wanted to talk about are fresh in my mind, not everything. I don't remember every little thing. I only saw it once, so there are going to be things that are still a little surprising to me, but without further ado, let's get into the match. Okay, so Jake starts off the match by sending out Black Betty, his Miltank, and Mikal sends out Pringles, the Jellicent. Black Betty goes for Stealth Rocks, and Pringles goes for a Toxic, which doesn't really mean anything because Jake typically runs Heal Bell on Miltank because, I mean, that's a really good fucking thing to go for. Anyway, Black Betty gets hit with a pretty bad Scald here, loses almost half its health, so obviously Jake switches into his Magirna, which is kind of like his star player here, takes little damage but still gets burned, but doesn't really matter because it is a special attacker. Now, it should be noted that this fucking Jellicent over here was probably the trooper of this guy's group because it took so fucking long for it to die. But anyway, Pringles tries to go for a Hex to take advantage of the Magirna's burn, but Jake obviously switched out, going for a Heal Bell. And if I had to describe where everything went wrong for Jake, it probably would have been this thing right here, because not because it killed anything. Well, it did kill something, but I'm not going to tell you what. But just because this thing stayed alive for a little too long and was able to do a little too much before it was finally taken out. So as we can see here, it goes for a substitute and goes for Calm Mind. Jake obviously gets Pelipper out to get Rain up and get some good damage, but ultimately fails. So he goes back into Soulless Heart as he's just letting this thing set up behind a freaking substitute, which still hasn't gone down, even though it's taken 2 hits, one of which came from Magirna. It now uses Calm Mind again, is now raised its special attack and special defense out the wall. Finally, it gets killed. The substitute goes down. Now, this thing is pretty bulky, and Jake goes for Crunch, and this is where I feel like Jake really screwed the pooch on this one, because, as you can see right here, Jake has a Araquanid, which is not only a bug type, which resists Psychic, but also has a really, really good special defense stat of 132 base. And so, as you can see, Jake kind of takes his time to send it out. I don't know what happened here. I think he just forgot about it, but he took a way too long, especially considering that he's running Leech Life on this thing. And, I mean, yeah, even though it had good special defense, it still almost went down. A single Leech Life was able to get it pretty back up to half, so Jake thought it was a little risky, but personally, I think he could have done better. Anyway, Ursaring comes out here and goes for Gunk Shot, and here's the second mistake I feel like Jake made, letting this thing die before Darmanitan was out. Even though this thing is part bug type due to its ability, it halves all fire damage, so it's pretty much just a normal water type, and so for it to just go down is really, really bad. Now, this is actually where I thought that Jake maybe had a chance to pull it back. Even though his 2 power hitters, or 2 of his 3 power hitters are gone, he was able to get up a Trick Room with Dusk Noir and was able to send in Soulless Heart, which Trick Room is a very good move for Jake's team, considering that at best his Pokemon had average speed, so getting in a good Trick Room is pretty good. Although, to be fair, these Pokemon really aren't speedy themselves, especially considering that this guy just sent out Darmanitan, the thing that has, I think, just now only been brought out to the battlefield. And Trick Room then goes down, only for Pepe Le Bird to bring out Rain Dance, and obviously he obviously switches out back to Pringles, who I honestly kind of forgot about, because it really doesn't do a whole lot this match. I mean, it's kind of a nuisance and wastes a few PP, but it doesn't really do anything. He tries to get off Toxic, but I think he forgets that, maybe he was going for Toxic Hex, but the thing about it is I think he forgot, that Miltank was a thing. And outside of that, though, this thing is clearly just a staller. Recover, Toxic Hex, this thing is just here to be a dick. Jake then switched into Black Betty, and I think this is where my least favorite, where I think Jake made his worst mistake, which was go for Rocks as opposed to Milk Drink. Now, I actually did talk to Jake after this battle, not right after, but I talked to him earlier today, and even though he didn't show he had milk drink, he did tell me he ran it, so that was kind of confusing as to why, especially considering that, as you can see here, Jake has Energy Ball on Magirna, so he can obviously kill Pringles. Now, obviously, this guy realizes that he can keep that thing alive for a little bit longer. As you can see, Jake's kind of screwed because his team is really, really badly hurt, and Lucario, a very powerful Pokemon, hasn't even made it onto the battlefield yet, which is really bad because that thing can screw... While that thing doesn't exactly screw over everything on Jake's team, still, the fact that there's a Pokemon that hasn't gotten any use and is still at full HP, especially something like Lucario, is very scary, especially considering that Magirna is part Fairy and this thing is part Steel. Anyway, Red and Metal over here goes for Pursuit, thinking that Jake was going to switch, but obviously Jake right now is just trying his valiant effort just to get rid of this fucking Scizor, which... Jake, if only you ran fucking Fire Punch, this would have been an easy kill. Dusknoir has such good coverage, but I'm sad that Jake doesn't really take advantage of it. I mean, if you got a strategy like this, you gotta do what you gotta do, but whatever. Jake tries to go Abba. Now, this play I kinda liked, and I'm not gonna really blame Jake for it, which was the last-minute Destiny Bond. The thing I will blame for him, though, is that he didn't go for Destiny Bond the turn after, because had that been the case, Red Metal might have done something. Yeah, because he went for Pursuit, but it failed, because, you know, he's dead. Jake now brings out Pepe Le Bird, which is sadly the highest health Pokemon he has, although I guess it is just a setup mon. Scizor gets left behind, or it just goes away. Oh, I also forgot to mention someone defogged at some point. I do believe it was Darmanitan, but anyway, Pringles finally goes down. Now, it should be mentioned that this is not only the first time that Lucario's come out, but that was the second Pokemon that Jake had taken out, and his team is almost fucking gone. So, yeah, this is pretty bad. Now, granted, Jake got some luck here, and he went for a Hurricane, and even confused Link, but sadly, Link went for Hidden Power, always a good move. Again, Jake, not going to blame you for that one, but was able to get it to half health, and of course, Lucario was also able to get out of confusion and get off Aura Sphere, and Jake was able to take out Lucario, so I guess he was able to do that, but it's pretty obvious here. Jake is not going to win. This thing is pretty bad, and, well, not bad, but it's badly injured, and there we go. That's the end of the fight. So, I think I made it pretty clear what Jake could have done differently here. I think had he preserved Araquanid and Salamence a little bit better, he could have, Araquanid, Salamence, and Black Betty. I think if he did a better job of preserving, because Jake has told me he's too risky of a player. I don't think he's too risky. I think his issue is that he's not seeing what his opponent has. Like, he's focusing too much on his own strategy without worrying about what could possibly counter it. And he doesn't really have anything to fall back on once those things die. Like, Araquanid in Rain is really good, but if it's able to take out, like, Darmanitan, which can be, like, a very, very powerful Pokemon, like, I think you should have done a little bit better. I think you could have won, and I think you did put in a great effort here. I still think this was a good battle on Jake's end, but sadly, once again, some rookie mistakes kind of screwed him over. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next match.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the IPL League. Last time, Jake fought and sadly lost. And this time, he'll be fighting his new opponent, C. Slabim Sabrina. And, oh, wow. So similar to last time, I already saw this battle. I know what happens. But I haven't seen it in a while, so I don't know all the specifics to it. And... ah, wow, this is quite the matchup we got going on here. So, without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so Jake starts off by sending out Black Betty, his Miltank, and Sabrina sends out Ixolock. Both of them try to get off their Stealth Rocks. Sabrina switches out and goes into Ixolock number 2, or his Toxapex. And I'm assuming he's trying to go for Toxic Spikes, either that or just a straight up Toxic. Maybe even just a Toxic Shield, which I know that's not what that move is called, but that's what I go for. Anyway, Jacob brings out Pepe Le Bird to go for the Rain. Toxapex switches out and he goes back into Ixolock. Goes for Hidden Power. Don't know which one it was. It doesn't say. But whatever it did, it killed Old Pepe Le Bird. Most likely hidden power electric. Anyway, Jakekub goes into Soulless Heart, his Magirna, and takes a powerful earth damage and gets the special defense drop. He goes for Energy Ball, kills off Ixolok, and is sadly... While he does get a special attack boost, he is sadly below average health. Ixolok over here goes for the substitute. Jake goes for Dazzling Gleam. Obviously, the sub fades. Heracross then goes for Close Combat, kills off Soulless Heart, which is sad considering that could have gotten it. Gets the Moxie, so a 1.5 attack boost. Jake goes into Whack-A-Mole over here, and so he obviously switches out. And then we get Ixolok, or... I don't know if this is glitching or if he actually had all of that. Anyway, Jake tries to go for Volt Switch, but that does not work because it does a ground type. Then he goes into Clowntown Crisis. Now, I'm assuming right here Jake was trying to go for a Trick Set because there's really nothing Trick Set here because that's what he did the last few times. And again, it's been a week since I've seen this. I've had a busy time, so I didn't really look over this. I just kind of went into it. Anyway, obviously he goes for that. Some reason Ixoclock goes for Toxic, maybe thinking Jake would switch out, but he should also remember that this thing is pretty fucking bulky. Jake is obviously just keeping Dusknoir in there, only to switch out and go back into Black Betty, the Miltank. Gets Toxic again. I'm assuming he's going to go for Heal Bell with this, considering that's basically what Black Betty's whole purpose is outside of milk drinking and heal belling and all of that shit. And so, yeah, this is kind of where you can tell where Jake really, really is in a bad spot because both of his power hit, well, one of his power hitters is down, but one of the setup Pokemon for his power hitters is also down. And the only thing we have left is Thundurus, which has to fucking somehow manage to take out both the Kyurem and that Zygarde, that's what it was, and also has to not worry about dying due to these rocks, because I don't think Jake has any other way of doing this. Anyway, some damage has been getting off, and Jake then goes back into the aforementioned Thunduruses that we were talking about. Alright, right now we're going into Kyurem over here. Ice Dragon. This is one of the things that Jake had to worry for. Sludge Wave doing a decent amount. Jake goes for 2 of them, but sadly he did not have a lot of health, and it went for the Dragon. It went for the fucking Dragon Pulse, which ended up killing it. We now have Clowntown Crisis out here. Goes for the Shadow Sneak. Takes down the Kyurem, so okay. Jake might have had some kind of... comeback. Obviously he brings out Zygarde. Anyway, he brings out Zygarde just to switch it back in there. I think he knew that he was going to go for Trick, so he wanted to see if he can get the slower Pokemon. Sadly, though, apparently Trick doesn't affect priority. That is still odd to me to this day. Alright, so this is just going to kind of be a battle of... Oh, I remember this part. So Jake goes off for Fire Punches for the next few turns, and I guess now I'll just talk about what the fuck this team is. So Jake had a team that had some synergy, but he had a rain team, but not enough of one to make it like a rain team. He only had 2 components, and everything else was just kind of mismatched. This guy actually has some pretty powerful, like, how the fuck, let me just say this, how the fuck do you get Toxapex, Survivor, or Superior, fucking Heracross, Zygarde, Kyurem Black, and this asshole, and Seismitoad, that's what it's called, Jesus. And I know I'm not commentating on what's going on here, but fucking Pain Split obviously was Jake's tactic, just wither it down so that he took some damage, and now he's getting Toxic again. But in all seriousness, this guy got fucking lucky with the draft. But anyway, now we're going into Scald. So at this point, it's practically just a stall on Jake's point. There really doesn't seem anything he can do, we got fucking Heracross over here. Now, I will say I like this Heracross. I like the idea that this guy was actually going to try to get some kills with the Heracross by... actually, what's its item? It does not say. Okay, it used Heracross tonight, so it went Mega. I like the idea that it went for a... that it tried to get a Moxie boost and then decided to fucking... get a Moxie boost, or he didn't do it now, sadly, but he tried to kill to get like a Moxie, like Heracross's base form, and then go Heracrossonite so that it had that fucking attack boost and he can take advantage of Soul Link, which, or Skill Link, that's what it's called. I keep forgetting that ability. Sorry, everybody. And that's actually a really cool strategy I like. But as for what's going on Jake's side, Clowntown Crisis went down due to a Rock Blast. Fucking now wet deathbed. The Araquanid's gonna go down, and yeah, that's the end of the battle. Also, Black Betty died because of close combat. So this was a very, very one-sided battle, and that is, wow, that is just bad. I'm at a loss for words here, people. I can't believe that this is what fucking happened, but tune in next week as we go on to Jake's next opponent, which, again, it's been a week, and I haven't gotten it, so I don't know what the fuck happened then, but, yeah, see you next time.